Boris Karloff, an iconic figure, became indelibly intertwined with the character of Frankenstein, forever etching his name in the annals of fright. For nearly 7 decades, the image of Frankenstein's monster has pervaded a collective consciousness, firmly planted in Karloff as an immortal symbol of popular culture. Born on November 23, 1887, in the tranquil suburb of Camberwell, London, young Karloff emerged as the youngest among a brood of 9 siblings. His father, Edward Pratt, dedicated a significant portion of his life to the British colonial government in India, serving as a salt tax administrator. Through his father's 3 marriages, Karloff's mother Eliza entered the picture as the 3rd wife. Intriguingly, tales have speculated that Eliza Helen, from an Indian background, may have contributed to Karloff's strikingly dusky complexion. A mere year after Karloff's birth, his father departed, leaving the responsibility. Some of Karloff's elder brothers followed in their father's. It was assumed that young Karloff would follow in their footsteps by joining the British Civil Service and traveling to India. Karloff was more interested in sports and music in school than in academics, but the stage called to him in 1896 when he made his debut in a school production of Cinderella. He developed a deep love for cricket that lasted the rest of his life. Karloff's educational journey led him from Efield Grammar School to Merchant Taylor School, and eventually to Uppingham School in London. Balancing his academic pursuits with dedication, he secured admission to King's College at the University of London in 1907, while his studies paved the way for a potential future in Britain's diplomatic corps. Karloff's true passion lay in the theatrical realm. He yearned for a career on stage, but his family scorned the notion, dismissing it as a mere folly. In 1909, frustration overwhelmed him as poor grades and an insurmountable restlessness took hold. Determined to leave his homeland, Karloff resorted to a coin toss to determine his destination. Canada or Australia. Fortune favored the former, and in May 1909, he set foot on Canadian soil in Montreal. The break of dawn found him herding horses in a field, having secured employment as a humble farmhand. Progressing westward, Karloff embarked on a journey through Western Canada, traversing from Banff, Alberta, to Vancouver, British Columbia. To sustain his nomadic existence, he took on various odd jobs, including digging racetracks, building streetcar tracks, and shoveling coal. Fate smiled upon Karloff as he secured a position on a survey crew with the esteemed British Columbia Electric Company. This newfound role not only brought him a salary increase, but also an improvement in working conditions. Yet his heart still yearned for the elusive dream of becoming an actor. News of an opportunity with a troupe known as the Gene Russell Players reached his ears, prompting him to embark on a train journey to Kamloops, British Columbia, for an audition. In his quest to establish a stage identity, Karloff embraced the name Boris Karloff, citing its connection to his mother's ancestral lineage. According to Scott Allen Nolan's book, Boris Karloff, he whimsically claimed that the name Boris materialized from out of the cold Canadian air. Armed with alleged stage experience from England, he successfully secured a role within the troupe. However, the astute manager soon discerned the truth and slashed his salary in half. Undeterred, Karloff embarked on a theatrical adventure across Canada, captivating audiences with the Gene Russell Players for 2 eventful years. Alas, their journey met an abrupt halt when a fierce tornado wreaked havoc in Saskatchewan. Undeterred by the sudden setback, Karloff cast his lot with another troupe, the St. Clair Players. Though this endeavor proved scarcely more profitable, Karloff nostalgically recounted the challenging mornings that involved cooking breakfast by frying an egg on an inverted electric iron nestled between a Gideon Bible and a bedpost. Yet the St. Clair players ventured across border United States for the first time, entering via North Dakota and traversing the vast expanse of the upper Midwest. As he embarked on a nomadic existence, Karloff fluidly transitioned between departures and reunions with the St. Clair Group, while seeking opportunities with various theatrical stock companies, all the while scraping by to sustain his parapet life. When World War I broke out, Karloff offered to enlist in the British Army, but was turned down due to a heart condition. The St. Clair players eventually stopped playing in 1917, but by then they had arrived in Los Angeles, California, where he found himself at the entrance to the expanding film industry amid his professional activities. In 1920, Karloff's personal life had its share of ups and downs. The musician Montana and he exchanged nuptials. Despite his prior marriage to an actress, Lorena Williams is starting a new chapter of marital bliss. Sometime around 1912, Olive de Wilton ended their divorce. The complexities of love led him down different routes, and he married a dancer. In the late 1920s, Karloff's path crossed with that of Lon Chaney Sr., a well-known figure in the silent film horror genre. This devoted encounter proved to be a turning point for Karloff, as Chaney gave him invaluable encouragement, taking the advice to heart. Karloff boldly embraced roles that capitalized on his gaunt and unsettling appearance. His career began to ascend when he secured a part in Howard Hawks' Scarface in 1931, opening doors to new opportunities. This was followed by Helen Vivian Sue in 1924 and Dorothy Stein, a librarian in Los Angeles, in 1930. With Boris Karloff's performance, the film quickly became a masterpiece. Bela Lugosi turned down the role to work on another movie, but Karloff was given it instead, and he rose to fame quickly. The film was a huge commercial hit and started a trend for horror movies that lasted for most of the 1930s. The monster's unique walk was made possible by heavy asphalt shoes and pounds of makeup on his Karloff. In 1932, he signed a contract with Universal Studios that guaranteed him a handsome salary of $750 per week as his star continued to rise, thanks to later hits like The Mask of Fu Manchu 1932, Black Cat 1934. Alongside Lugosi, his weekly earnings increased to $3,750. Karloff's prolific output became evident as he graced the screen in 9 films in 1932 alone, while the quality of his works varied. His ability to deliver captivating performances and refined variations on the persona he established through Frankenstein remained a constant. As life continued to evolve for Karloff, he and his wife Dorothy bid farewell to their humble abode in Laurel Canyon, which they fondly refer to as a shack. Their journey led them through a series of progressively more luxurious dwellings until they found themselves in a magnificent mansion nestled in the serene Coldwater Canyon area. Here Karloff could indulge his deep love for gardening, cultivating his oasis alongside his green thumb. Karloff nurtured a collection of peculiar pets, ranging from a tortoise and a parrot to egg-laying chickens, a cow named Elsie, a hefty 400B pig, and a handful of beloved dogs whose names playfully included Angus Day and Silly. Despite his triumphs, Karloff remained rooted in compassion, becoming an advocate for the welfare of fellow actors who toiled in the trenches. In 1933, he played a pivotal role as a co-founder of the Screen Actors Guild Union. While the enduring legacy of Frankenstein brought both amusement and affection to Karloff, he grappled with the decision to delve into sequels that could potentially diminish the impact of the original film. Ultimately, he yielded to the allure of one sequel, Bride of Frankenstein in 1935, and another Son of Frankenstein in 1938, a year that also marked the birth of his cherished daughter Sarah. Post-war Karloff's filmography continued to expand, but his presence on radio and television gained increasing recognition in 1949. He embarked on a new venture as the host of the radio program starring Boris Karloff, a role that seamlessly transitioned to television in the early 1950s. Karloff started two projects in 1950, proving his continued appeal to younger audiences. The Broadway version of Peter Pan and the radio program Boris Karloff's Treasure Chest paved the stage for Karloff's popularity in his later years, securing his status as an entertainer who children loved. In 1951, after moving to New York, Evelyn lived in the Dakota apartment complex for the rest of his life, as he diligently pursued acting endeavors until his last days. Karloff's love for performing never faded, supplying his soul with unending joy and vigor. Karloff broke free from the horror genre and captivated audiences on Broadway with his riveting performance in The Ark. In 1955, he was nominated for a Tony Award, and the broadcast of this amazing production became a yearly tradition, appealing to the baby boomer generation nearly as much as his famous portrayal of Frankenstein. However, despite his strong ties to the United States, Karloff never pursued this career path. American citizenship in his twilight years, he resided in London, alongside his beloved wife, periodically returning to the United States for concentrated bursts of work on various projects. One notable achievement during this phase was his involvement in the 1967 film Targets, helmed by director Peter Bogdanovich. In this thought-provoking production, Karloff portrayed an aging horror film star who yearned to retire, disillusioned by a real world more terrifying than any movie, even in the face of decline in health. Karloff tenaciously pursued his craft, and his final film, Chamber of Fear, 1968, was created in Mexico. A devoted smoker for many years, Karloff's habit eventually caught up with him, resulting in emphysema that left only half of one lung functioning. In 1968, he contracted bronchitis, necessitating his hospitalization at University College Hospital. Tragically, on February 20, 1969, at the age of 81, Karloff succumbed to pneumonia while receiving care at King Edward I 7th Hospital in Midhurst, Sussex. Goodbye and rest in peace, legendary actor Boris Karloff.